You may begin.
Hello everyone, I'm Rodrigo1 and I will show some pictures. What do you think when you what do you think if I said to you that you can be the next Luke Skywalker traveling around the galaxy, or maybe Spock braving the universe? What do you think? Yes, this is like the answer I want to hear. It's fantastic. And because of this thought, the man was able to venture outside our world, the planet. And then the moon landing was the start of all of this. And this is my topic today. My 3 main points: the history and development before the moon landing, then the travel to the moon, and finally the development after arrival to the moon. Let's go start talking about the history. Everything starts with the Cold War. The United States was fighting an epic battle against the Russians. The Russians sent to space Sputnik in 1957, and after that they sent Yuri Gagarin, the first man to orbit the Earth, and he said the famous phrase, "The world is blue." And then after that, they sent 2 probes, Zone 1 and Zone 5 and Zone 6, unmanned. Oh, what that means? That means no human inside the ship, just the ship to orbitate the moon. The 2 pictures. Then, the development of this project. John Kennedy said the famous phrase, "Until the end of the decade, I will send a man to the moon." And then starts the construction of the first rocket, the Apollo 1. But besides the great job, the Apollo 1 was a tragedy happened. A fire inside the cabin killed Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee. The pioneers were killed. And this tragedy had a high cost to the NASA. They had 21 months of delay, and the scientists needed to remake all the modules and remake 1,300 projects. Before the arrival of the moon, 6 persons were near to the moon. The first ship, Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, in 1968 orbited the moon inside Apollo 8. And after that, Tom Stafford, John Young, and Eugene Cernan in 1969 in a space capsule orbited the moon too. Okay. I talked a little bit about the history and development before the arrival of the moon. Now I will talk about the travel to the moon. Everything starts in the Kennedy Space Center. Thousands of people reunited to watch the launch of the Saturn V, the biggest rocket built by the man in that time, of course. The Saturn V weighed 110 meters, his weight 2,009 tons, and his potency was so strong that a man could hurt 20 kilometers away from the point where the ship was launching. And the vibration was so powerful that people around the ship could sense the ground rumble inside their legs. In the top of the ship, the crew: Neil Armstrong, the test pilot, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, the pilot from Air Force, and Michael Collins, combat pilot. And finally, in July 20, 1969, they arrived at the moon. And Neil Armstrong said the famous phrase, "A small step from the man, but a big step from the mankind." What were the difficulties? The first, a small command module. The command ship of the ship was so small, 6 square meters, and because of that, it's difficult to move inside. Another problem, the armchairs. they are put side by side, and because of that, it was easy to touch the other one. And because of that, they can't disturb the other one. And that is a problem when you are controlling a ship like a rocket. Another important difficulty, the target. The target wasn't the moon. It's a point in space where the moon, it will be in 4 days because of the rotation of the Earth. That's an important point. And the ship was guided by the physical laws established in the 7th century by Isaac Newton. And because of that, they needed to turn on the ship 3 seconds and turn it to the direction they want. Because of that, they could escape from the Earth's gravitational field and be attracted by the moon. The Apollo program was a costly program, of course. They spent $24 billion in that time, equivalent to today $100 billion. Very, very expensive. And of course, intensive labor endeavor. They use 400,000 of engineers, scientists, technicians to build and make all the adjustments to this program. I talked about the travel to the moon, and now, have you ever think about what the travel to the moon meant to the world, what they did there, what was after that? I will talk about a little about this subject. After the moon landing was 5 successful lunar landings after the first one, and one where by technical problems it doesn't work. They need to abort the mission because problems. And then these 2 men in the picture, you can see this one and this one, Eugene Cernan and Harry Schmidt, they were the last 2 men who walked on the moon in 1972. It's a great achievement. What they did in the moon, they collect 27 pounds of rock and dust, and they bring it to the Earth. The scientists with that were able to discover the properties of those minerals and these rocks and understand how it works. And the seismograph, they studied the seismograph in the moon, and with the seismograph they could understand the seismic activity in the moon. And because of that, they could learn how it works in the moons. And they studied ray reflector. With that, they could understand the chemical properties of the ground of the Earth. And why it was important to this discovery? Because to colonize the moon land was the first step to discover, to get out of our Earth, to let our Earth. And because of that, if in the future we need to colonize another planets, everything started because of the moon land. And new useful elements, of course. When we went to the moon, we find a lot of things that we don't know that existed. And it's probably, if we find another country, probably we will find another elements to help to our lives. And facilitates satellites. But when we left the Earth to go to the moon, in the same time we are able to travel around our own orbit. And because of that, the satellites was developed all the time, and nothing can stop us to aprimorate this ability and make more satellites to help more the human beings in the Earth. And in conclusion, I talked about the moon landing. First, I talked about the history and development of the moon landing. Then, before the moon landing, then I talked about the travel to the moon. And finally, I talked about after the arrival at the moon. And how all of you can see, the moon landing was a great achievement to the world, greatest, I would say. And I hope that continues to be developed, because we don't know the future. And maybe in the future you can be the next Luke Skywalker facing Darth Vader and the reaches of the galaxy with your swords fighting. And I think this is it. If you have any questions now, you can ask me. And I think this is it for today. Thank you, and until the next presentation.